on this key issue of immigration, I don't think the other parties have got anything to say. And I think they tend to speak in a language that most people, frankly, don't understand. And I think UKIP, over the next 38 days, is going to connect with people.
OK, I think that part of the problem some people might have with your party is that if you are tough on immigration, as a result, you can therefore be tough on immigrants, and that can be seen as terribly unfair. I mean, we have this Channel 4 documentary in which you told Trevor Phillips that UK race discrimination laws should be abolished. You've suggested children of immigrants should not have access to the state education system for 5 years.
Can we just be clear? I said nothing of the kind to Trevor Phillips. What I said was, I feel that small employers, and there are 5 million of them, many watching this programme right now, men and women running little companies, and I think the employment regulation should be relaxed, and they should be able to choose British workers first in preference to anybody else from Europe or elsewhere in the world. And to do that, we should relax the rules. And, you know,
so discrimination should be allowed,
It's a very odd state of affairs where it's considered to be a bad thing to say you should put British workers first.
Well, isn't it the right state of affairs that the best worker should be put first, and that should be up to
if you believe
employers, and should be enforced presumably by the law?
If you believe in open borders, and if you believe that anybody can come to Britain to seek work, then that would be logical. I don't believe that. I actually think that to have an open door and to have mass migration of unskilled and semi-skilled labour is bad for British people because it's driven down wages. And how does that make sense? You know, what may be good for big business isn't necessarily good for millions of British families.
It's crunch time for all the parties, obviously. It's a general election, and it really is crunch time for UKIP. You've got to prove that the success in the European elections wasn't just a fluke, wasn't just a protest vote. And I think to have confidence to do that, I know when we spoke a few weeks ago, you said, oh, I don't think I make a very good Prime Minister. Now, after that, some people interpret that is that you didn't have confidence. If you didn't have confidence yourself leading the country, why should people, in a sense, waste their vote on you? Because you're not going to be a big player.
I'm a straight-talking person, right? I'm honest. UKIP are not going to win the general election. But you know what? No one's going to win the general election. There'll be nobody with a clear majority. The question is, what parties will have enough power to coalesce around the other parties? Look, the last 2 by-elections in Parliament, we won. You know, we've got massive public support for our views on proper immigration controls, the need for an Australian-style point system. And as we've shown before, you know, we've come from behind in many elections to win in the past. We are going to win a good number of seats in Westminster, but with the best will in the world, I'm not going to be the Prime Minister.
You have said that if you had to do a deal with the Conservatives, you would have to make as one of your deal breakers when the referendum was held. Now, when would you want that to be held? Because when I put that to the Prime Minister, he said your deadline was very unlikely.
Well, the Prime Minister has never wanted to have a referendum. Remember that. He spent years saying he doesn't want a referendum. He's now been forced into a position of promising one. Our job would be in the next Parliament to hold his feet to the fire, to make sure the referendum is not a stitch-up, and there's no reason we can't have it this year.
And would that be a deal-breaker if there was a potential coalition negotiation meeting?
I don't want this to be kicked into the long grass until, say, the end of 2017, because that would mean we may go through the whole of the next Parliament.
So if he said next year, you'd say OK?
Well, I think it should be before the end of this year. We've got loads of time. I mean, goodness me, we're still in March. You know, there is plenty of time to do this. And surely it's right that the British people should have this choice. What is really astonishing is that on the first day of the campaign, Ed Miliband has come out and said he doesn't want the British people to have a say, which is remarkable.